Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Swadharma Talks. We are today in part 4 of 6, and thank you for joining us early in the morning. It's 7:45 a.m. here in India for those who are joining us live. And we are here on Facebook and LinkedIn. No, it's not Zoom. Yes, you can still participate. Yes, you can still type in your questions. If you're watching the video, whether on your smartphone or on your desktop, there is a section for the comments. Please type your comments in below. As soon as they come in, we will take them in towards the end of the program after this is there. So we have Swadharma Talks, which is a series of talks based on the learnings from the Bhagavad Gita. No, this is not a religious session, but this is a lot of learning that you can apply in your daily life. And it's being held by, conducted by Rotarian Ramkumar Seshu. But we have Rotarian Lakshmi, who is our host for today, and she will continue with the proceedings. Good morning, Lakshmi.
Good morning. Good morning to all. I welcome all of you, the Rotary Fraternity, our friends, well-wishers, and everyone who has signed up for this program. Today's topic is Karma and Swadharma, and we have Rotarian Ram Kumar Seshu taking us through a wonderful journey on dissecting this topic, giving us insights into Karma and Swadharma. Over to you, Rotarian Ram Kumar Seshu.
Namaskara. Thank you very much, Lakshmi and Sandeep. Truly appreciate what you both are doing. Let's begin with a prayer and invoke the blessings of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. Thank you for being here for the last 3 days. Today is a very interesting subject. What is karma? What is karma? And how does it get linked to Swadharma? Now, this whole concept of karma and karma, I think we need to first of all understand what is what. You see, in the Gita, when he is talking of karma, he is talking in terms of primarily action, Sri Krishna. This whole concept of karma, I've often heard people say that what to do, it's my bad karma or it's my good karma. This is something that has happened because it is inexplicable, etc., etc. So let's understand the origins of this whole concept of karma. If I'm not wrong, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in a conversation between Rajrishi Janaka and Yajnavalkya, who's a phenomenal sage in the Hindu pantheon, there is this whole conversation that happens, and Yajnavalkya explains to Rajrishi Janaka. Now, Janaka himself was a very erudite, very, very well-read. That's why he's called Rajarishi. Okay, and yes, it is the same Janaka who's the father of Sita. And Rajarishi Janaka actually talks about how, when he asks Yajnavalkya and he explains to him a very interesting point, and I'll just read that out to you here. The self is identified with desires alone. As it desires, so its resolution, and as its resolution, so its deed. And whatever deed it does, that it reaps. So this is the first time, the principle of karma, as it is popularly known, has come in, saying that, look, this is something that, it is your past deeds that come back and, and are there with you right now. But I think for a minute, let's park that aside, because honestly, there is a lot of research that's been done on this particular subject. That is it right? Is it wrong? Is it good to blame your karma for whatever is happening to you? All of that is a matter of study. However, what I want to focus on right now is that it doesn't really matter what you have inherited and come with. I mean, just look at it like this. When you were born in a family You inherit a certain DNA, you inherit a certain amount of wealth, you inherit a certain culture, you inherit a certain amount of values. But it's up to you to either enhance that or to completely, wither it away. That is something which you have as a call. And I think the Bhagavad Gita quite honestly says that, look, irrespective of what you've come with, irrespective of what your starting point in life is, and Krishna does, of course, talk about it, saying that if you've done good, then you will be born in a family which is good, etc. But let's park that aside for a minute and let's figure out, what do you do with what you have right now, and how does that link with your Swadharma? So that is the important point that we need to remember. That, look, when you look at our philosophy, okay, we do say that there is a Atma, there is a Paramatma, there is a Jivatma. Okay. And when we talk about Paramatma, we're talking about the Lord. Okay. There is this feeling of Godhood. When we're talking in terms of the Jivatma, it is you, it is me. Okay. And we keep saying that when you actually die, it is this Atma that keeps migrating from one body to another body. Okay. Now there is this certain indestructibility of the soul. So we have a great opportunity. I look at it from this perspective, that we have a great opportunity now to figure out how we can actually keep building on what we have. And let's look at one of the most famous definitions oft quoted from the Bhagavad Gita about the nature of the soul. So Sandeep, if you'll please help me with the chapter 2, verse number 27, and Lakshmi, verse 23, please. Yeah. Lakshmi? Lakshmi, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Please.
Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutaha. Weapons cannot shred the soul, nor fire can burn it. Water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it. हथियार इसे छेद नहीं सकते, आग इसे जला नहीं सकती, पानी इसे गला नहीं सकता और वायु इसे सूखा नहीं सकती.
All right, thank you, Lakshmi. So, what does this mean? I mean, this I'm 100% sure that you read this, hundreds and hundreds of times. This is one of the most quoted, shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita. One of the other shlokas that's quoted a lot. So, what does it mean? It means simply, very simple, that the Atma, which is there in our Jiva, the Jivatma, the Atma is something that migrates from one body to the other. And obviously, when it does, it takes a certain amount of residual goodwill from one body to the other body. Okay. And this is the whole concept of karma that we talk about. But I think we need to figure, how are we going to get into karma, which is what we need to be looking at right now. Because like conditioning, there's quite simply nothing that I can do about what I have inherited and come with. But I can certainly do on improving my current condition and doing something about it so that I can move forward. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at that aspect of the Bhagavad Gita, not worry about this whole karma. So my earnest appeal to all of you is this, that look, there are some incidents that happen. There are some things that happen in our life that are absolutely inexplicable. Okay, there's nobody who can explain why this has happened to you, why you were born in a particular house, why somebody else was born in a different kind of a place, why have you been blessed with certain physical attributes, why has somebody not been blessed with those physical attributes. This is a issue, there is no doubt about that, and we would like to believe that it is because of the fact, like Yajnavalkya explains to Rajrishi Janaka, that this is because of the fact that there are some things that you've done which you carry forward into your life. There is another concept there which says that whatever you do, when the Atma moves out of your body, then that Atma carries the good or the bad that you've done in this world, goes into a Paraloka, and there kind of exhausts okay, all the good or the evil, and then comes back into to another body concept. Now, the issue here is this, that look, while there is nothing I can do about what I've inherited and I've come with, okay, maybe I've come with a blank check, maybe I've come with a check which is already written. That's all right. But at this point of time, I have everything in me that I can do to create this life, because I don't know about the hereafter. I don't know about what happened in the past, but I definitely know what is happening with my life right now. And can we now focus on karma, which is the activity that we need to do in this life to make sure that it dovetails with your Swadharma, and therefore you earn the goodwill that will make you happy. Remember that. That's our definition of Swadharma that we're going with, that what makes you happy while the world is also happy with what you do. Okay, so keep this in mind, and this principle of karma is what I'd really like to talk about and see how are we going to do that. So let's accept this, but let's move more from a kriya perspective, more from a karma perspective, and go into that in a greater depth right now. Okay, so Sandeep, if you can help me with chapter 3, verse number 38, because that I think gives us a great direction. Lakshmi?
Yes. धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर्यथा दर्शो मलेन च यतोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. Just as a fire is covered by smoke, a mirror is masked by dust, and an embryo is concealed by the womb, similarly one's knowledge gets shrouded by desire. जैसे धुएं से आग, धूल से दर्पण और झेर से गर्भ टेके होते हैं, ऐसे ही उस काम के द्वारा यह ज्ञान विवेक ढका हुआ है.
Right? So the operative word is vivek. Okay, the operative word is knowledge. Now, what happens is that if you get into that defeatist, fatalistic attitude, saying that, look, yaar, ye sab purana likha hua hai, what can I do? I can't do anything about it. This is all, past, this thing, etc., 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 then you are not going to do anything to get going. And this is the way the knowledge that you have, this is the way your Swadharma, your Vivek that you have, gets completely covered. And that's why he explains, saying, like a mirror is covered by dust, like a fire is covered by smoke, like the child is in the womb of the mother, your intelligence get covered primarily because of the fact that you sit down. Okay, while he says desire, I'm saying you sit down and say, no, what to do? I can't do anything about it. There is this certain helplessness about the flow of life, about the ebbs and the tide that keep coming up and going down. Okay, and that is something that we need to get out of. And that is the message of Krishna here, very clearly saying that, look, stop thinking in this kind of in this fatalistic, defeatist attitude. It's time we got out of that and said, all right, whatever it is that I've been handed over, if you're a card player, whatever are the cards that you've been dealt with, it doesn't matter. Let's make the best out of this game right now. Okay? If you're running an enterprise, sure, the winds are against you. Maybe the winds are against you. Maybe the winds are for you. Maybe you've got the tide in your favor. We don't know. But the point is that you can still do something about it and work with it. And that's why he's saying that, look, if you were to take this defeatist attitude, then like the fire is covered by smoke, or the mirror is covered by dust, in the same way, your viveka, your knowledge, your knowledge of your Swadharma can get covered and will then therefore not allow you to do what you're supposed to be doing. So I keep saying, banish the cobwebs of the mind. Okay, remove them. Get rid of those cobwebs of the mind, because they are not going to help you in any which way. So if you banish those cobwebs of the mind, then obviously you're going to get to a situation where you're going to move forward decisively in whatever needs to be done. Okay? There are times in life when you really don't know why some things are happening to you. There is no point in spending time figuring out why. It's important to figure out, how do I do what I need to do to move away from this particular situation and take charge of my life. Okay? And you can do that if you banish the cobwebs of the mind, like he says, don't allow the smoke to cover the fire, or the dust to cover the mirror. Get out of that, start thinking, start taking charge of your life, and move forward. Okay? So the point is very simple. Okay? We need to figure out what we can do. Now, one of my favorite examples in this is something that I'll share with you. I often ask audiences, especially when I'm dealing with young children, I show them a glass of water which is, half, I show them a glass which is half full with water. And I say, look, tell me, is this glass half full or half empty? And invariably, we're all being trained to say half full. And it's only when I keep probing them and I'm saying, really, is your life great? And you say, well, life is top of the world. I'm doing extremely well. I say, really? And then the answers come out. Say, no, 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 no. So the challenge is that we are trained to say half full, but we believe it is half empty. We're trained to say half full, but we keep thinking half empty. And we need to get out of this cobweb of the mind. We need to banish this. We need to get out there and say, look, let us move away from this kind of thinking that is holding us back. And that's the whole message of the Gita for all of us, right? So how does he say, how do you get into this kind of activity that we need, which will propel you on the way of your Swadharma, okay? And I'll tell you something interesting. There are so many people in life, okay? There are so many people in life who, despite their circumstances, have taken charge of their life and move forward, okay? One of the prime examples of this is Swami Vivekananda, okay? Look at what Swami Vivekananda managed to achieve in his very, very short life. He was a very young man, okay? But in that short life, he went out and he managed to achieve so much. He is singularly responsible for bringing this whole concept of Swadharma to the fore, of taking this knowledge of Sanatan Dharma to the whole world. He was the first ambassador that we had after many, many years who took the message to the whole world. Okay? Now, can you imagine? Here is a guy from somewhere in Calcutta doing so much of work. This is Swami Vivekananda for you. Another great example I'd like to give you is Sri Aurobindo Ghosh. Okay? Now, Aurobindo Ghosh was implicated, arrested, in jail when he got a vision. And he completely changed after that. Okay? Didn't curse himself for being in that jail, but came out, moved to Pondicherry, and he came up with this whole concept of integral yoga. Okay? Another great example of someone who took charge of his life. Another very interesting person that I'd like to quote is Helen Keller, if all of you remember. Okay? Helen Keller is someone who rewrote her entire life. So it doesn't really matter where you are. Okay? What has made you come here? It doesn't matter. Don't sit back and think and say that, look, why did I get here? This is my bad karma. This is my parents. This is my, whatever. But take charge of your life and start moving forward. Okay? I'd like to show you one way in which Krishna tells us how this can be done. So if you can pull up chapter 3, verse number 19. Lakshmi?
Tasmadasakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. Therefore, giving up attachment, perform actions as a matter of duty, for by working without being attached to the fruits, one attains the supreme. इसलिए तू निरंतर आसक्ति रहित होकर कर्तव्य कर्म का भली भांति आचरण कर, क्योंकि आसक्ति रहित होकर कर्म करता हुआ मनुष्य परमात्मा को प्राप्त हो जाता है.
Right? Now, this is a very, very important point. That look, when you want to get out of that particular situation that you are finding yourself in, whatever be the situation, whether it is a personal situation or a family situation or a work situation or a social situation or an NGO or whatever it is that you are in, remember one thing, don't get attached to that particular situation. Move away, remove this cobweb completely off the mind and say that, look, let me get out of that attachment issue to where I am right now, but do this particular activity as if it is part of my duty. And here is something that I'd like to tell you. This is a concept that I call Nishkama Karma. Okay. When you get into this nishkama karma, what is nishkama karma? Kama, is desire, okay, attachment, desire, etc. Nishkama karma, which means I am going to do whatever I need to do to get out of the situation that I'm in. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to build on the situation that I'm in. You could have both, okay? You could have an unhappy situation, you could have a very happy situation. But I'm going to build on that in a nishkama way. I'm not going to get attached to the situation I am in, but I'm going to work on this in such a way that I will build on this and I will come out of this. I will build even better. I will grow even more in my life. And that is the message that Krishna wants to drive to all of us. That look, yes, you could be in a particular situation and there is no explanation as to why you're there. But now let's move on. I'd like to tell you one more interesting example of Nishkam Karma. I think one of the greatest people that was born in this country is Adi Shankara, because he is the person who wrote his Bhashyams and he is the person who provided a bedrock for re-establishing Sanatan Dharma in this country. And look at what he achieved in life, in that very short life that he lived. Okay? And look at the legacy that he has left behind for us. He whatever he did it in a desireless way. And if we can get that look, let us move out of the petty attachment that we've got for the situation that we find ourselves in. Whether the situation is not very happy or whether the situation is very happy. Let's get out of that and try and figure out a way of how we can move into how we can take whatever is our Swadharma and express it and take it forward in life. That's the important lesson that we need to learn. Okay. So when you pursue your Swadharma, okay, remember there is this beautiful word Swa that comes before Dharma. Okay, Dharma, you recall, doing all the right things righteously. Now, Swa means self-esteem. So when you're working on your Swadharma, what you're also doing is that you are giving your self-esteem a chance to be better and better and better and better. Okay? You're getting to a situation where you're truly happy with yourself. Now, that is the whole point. So if you want to get out of that unhappiness trap that we talked about in the first session, you need to figure out a way of how your Swa or your self-esteem can get enhanced by practicing your Swadharma, which is doing what makes you happy and the world happy at the same time. So this is the key, that we need to get into a situation where we are going to take that action, that nishkama karma that we're going to be doing, and that is what is required. So, will you be plagued with doubts? Absolutely. Will you have those doubts that are coming? Absolutely. Okay, that is going to happen. But we need a way to encounter that, and we need a way to figure out how are we actually going to move out of that. So what is the kind of action that we need to perform is something that I'd like to spend a little time on. If we can do chapter 4, verse 17, Sandeep, that would be great. Yeah.
Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. You must understand the nature of all three: recommended action, wrong action, and inaction. The truth about these is profound and difficult to understand. कर्म विपरीत कर्म और अकर्म को भी समझना चाहिए, क्योंकि कर्मों की गति बहुत गूढ़ है.
All right, just keep the slide on for a little while, Sandeep, because this is an important concept on the action and Swadharma. There are 4 types of action, or actually 5 types of action that we perform. Okay, what are this? What is he talking? What is Krishna telling Arjuna here? When he talks about recommended action, wrong action, and inaction, let's add 2 more to that at this point of time. So the 5 types of action that you can actually perform are like this. The first is inaction, which means that particular situation you do nothing about. You don't do anything about it. Okay? And you just wish that it goes away. You just wish that this thing will disappear, and something will happen in life by which this whole thing will sort itself out. Never will happen. Never. That is inaction. Okay. And if you remember yesterday, we talked about it, that it is completely tamasic in terms of inaction. The second kind of an action is what I call a reaction. Somebody has put a gun to your head and is saying, you must do this. And if you don't do this, or else. Okay. And that is the reaction mode that we get into. And when we get into that reaction mode, obviously we are not fully into that particular action that we want to perform. And the third kind of action that you can actually get into is inefficient action, which means you do it, but your heart is not really in there. And you're just doing it because somebody has told you, go ahead and perform that particular action. The fourth is what I call significant action. And it is significant action that helps you push the envelope, that helps you move forward in life. Now, and the last is significant action without any attachment. That if you can actually perform that significant action in a way that, look, I'm doing it, I will get a reaction, I will get a response, there will be an outcome, but it doesn't matter to me. I am going to be doing this action, this significant action, from a pure perspective. Now let's look at it from today's challenge perspective. There are so many times, especially those of you who are, running an enterprise, or those of you who are running a business, or those of you who are running a service, or those of you who are counseling clients. Okay, this particular aspect of the Gita in this particular stanza and the next one, when it comes up, completely changes our way of thinking. Okay, that the response from an inaction perspective of wishing against, hoping against hope that something will happen or somebody else is going to do something for you, won't work. We need to take charge of our life. It's as simple as that. Because there's only one life that you have, and there's only one person in charge of that life, and that is you. Inaction doesn't help. You get into a reactive mode, and you're constantly chasing your tail. Again, doesn't help, won't work. You're doing inefficient action. Why? Because somebody has asked you to do something about it. Again, no, doesn't work. It is significant action that works. So here is my thought for all of you for today. Is it possible for all of us? Is it possible for all of us that on a daily basis to put down one or two or three significant actions that we want to perform every day? Okay, if you can put down saying, this is a significant action that I want to perform today, and this significant action of mine is going to push something forward, is going to help me take some aspect of my life forward, right? That becomes the important point. But when you're doing it, if you can do it without any attachment to the outcome or the result, then I think you've cracked the whole challenge in life. So the nishkama karma that we need to perform is from this perspective. So if you're leading an enterprise, then figure this out with all your people, saying, what is it that we are doing right now in our enterprise? Okay, is this a function of inaction, reaction, inefficient action, significant action? And of course, significant action without attachment will take a little time, but it is something that you need to do. Now, look at this program that we're doing for you, right? Now, Lakshmi, Sandeep, me, Sharada at the back end, we're all doing this entire program. This is a significant action that we're taking. There's been a lot of time that we've spent on the study, on putting the whole program together, on trying to make it seamless. Will there be a reaction? Yes, there is. But we are completely unattached to what will happen. What is the kind of reaction that we will get or not get? We are doing it because this to us is a significant action that we need to perform. So on a daily basis, if there is some way that you can make significant action a part of your daily life. And why? Because whether you like it or not, a large part of your day is going to be spent on reaction. You will have to react because we live in an interconnected world. We can't hope, we can't say that my entire day will only be significant action. Not possible. We live in an interconnected world. We live in an interdependent world. Somebody or the other has to give us some kind of an output for us to consider it an input, to process it and make it into an output. And that person who's going to deliver that, his output, which is our input, is not going to be efficient. There will be some challenge there. Some of the process that we need to run to create that input into something which is an output, some of those processes may not work. The output, when you produce it and you want to give it to somebody else, that somebody else may not work. So you're living in an interdependent world. And in this interdependent world, you will have to perform a lot of reaction. A large part of the day will be in a reaction mode. There is no doubt about that. But that does not mean that you can get into a situation of saying, when I'm in that particular situation, can I figure out a way of making sure that I can keep taking that significant action in everything that I do? And that will help push the envelope forward. Keep this in mind, right? Always. Now, there's another very interesting concept that Krishna talks to us about, right? And that's a concept which is, how are you going to be detached from the action that you're going to do? And if you can bring the next slide up, that would be interesting.
Chapter 4, verse 18. Shall I?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Karmanya karmaya pashet karmani cha karmaya sabuddiman manusheshu sayukta kritsna karma kritha. Those who see action in inaction and inaction in action are truly wise amongst humans. Although performing all kinds of actions, they are yogis and masters of all their actions. जो मनुष्य कर्म में अकर्म देखता है और जो अकर्म में कर्म देखता है, वह मनुष्यों में बुद्धिमान है, योगी है और संपूर्ण कर्मों को करने वाला है.
All right, fantastic. So look at the beauty of this. What is he saying? He says that, look, even if you're in the in the midst and in the frenzy of the action that you need to be performing, okay, even when you're in the midst of a frenzy of action that is happening, significant action or reaction or inefficient action, is it possible for you to get detached from that and figure out a way, okay, of how you can actually make sure that the action that is being performed, you step aside from that? Acharya Vinoba Bhave has a fantastic example that he gives about this very difficult concept, okay, and let me try and capture that for you. He says that when you're in a fast moving train, okay, when you're in a train which is moving fast, you actually think the trees outside are moving faster, but the trees are stationary. It is the train that is moving at a rapid pace, and it's the trees that are stationary. Likewise, he gives another very interesting example, okay. He says, when you stand on the shore and you see a ship or a plane fly, then you think that nothing is happening there. You think that the ship is actually stationary, or you think that the ship is actually, the plane is actually stationary up there in the air. But they are moving at their own pace, okay, whatever pace they're moving at. So how do you resolve this whole issue of action in inaction and inaction in action? Earlier, if you recall, we talked about this whole issue, this whole thing about how do you get into this nishkama karma. And this is the point, that while you're doing that significant action, while you're completely involved in that particular action, if you can step back and not get involved in what is going to be the outcome of that particular action. So you are in a particular situation right now. What we need to do very clearly in that situation while we're working on our Swadharma is this. Don't get completely sucked in to that particular action and get attached to what is happening with that particular action. Try and be dispassionate, stand out, stand aside, and try and figure out how that action can continue to be performed while it is going on. It's very much like in an assembly line. And the guy has set the entire machine, the machine is working, and whatever is happening, whether it is some kind of an activity, whether it is shampooing, whatever that activity which is going on, whether some kind of a textile is being woven, and he's standing aside and he's observing that entire activity going on. You know why that is important? Because that's the only time that you can stand aside and see what is it here that you need to improve. Is there anything that needs to change in this particular process? Is there anything that can be done here to make it better? And that's the whole point. You see, one of the challenges that we have in our life is that we get so involved and engrossed in what we do that we don't step back for a minute and figure out, how can this become better? Is there anything that needs to be changed in this? Over a period of time, we keep doing the same things again and again and again and again. And somewhere, we refuse to change what we are doing. And the important thing, therefore, is this: to step back and figure out, how can I take that significant action on a daily basis on one or two or three aspects of my life? Now, is significant action only about work? No, it is not. Even it is to your own self. Can you get up every day in the morning and do a half an hour walk? Can you spend a half an hour of meditation, quiet, reflective time? That is significant action. You are your best friend. There is nobody else who's a good friend of yours as much as you are. So can you actually step back and say that, look, I am going to take a half an hour break every day, and I'm just going to be with myself. I'm going to just spend time with me. And I'm not going to do anything else at that time. No phone, no paper, no music, nothing. Just spend time and figure out, what is it that I'm going to be doing? That is significant action. Okay? If it's with your family, in what way can you spend that additional half an hour or 1 hour in what is known as quality time? If it's at work, what is it that you can do at work with your people to help them perform better? I did a observation study recently for a fairly interesting client, and I told him at the end of the one and a half hours, I said, you know what you're doing with all your people? Whenever they come into the room, you're only pointing out their mistakes. Why don't you consciously start telling these people, okay, you have to pull them up, you have to correct them. There's no doubt about that. You're the boss. But is it possible for you also to have some time where you can tell them where they're doing a good job? Now, that's a significant action. So can we actually step back from this frenzy of the action and try and figure out how we can actually help people move forward? So remember that significant action that is required to help you move forward on your Nishkama Karma. Let's get into the next one that he talks about, which is a clarion call that he's giving all of us, which is chapter 4, verse number 42, Sandeep and Lakshmi.
Tasmadajnana sambhutam hritstam jnanasinatmanah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sandeep, the next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Lakshmi.
No problems. I'll start from again. Tasmadajnana sambhutam hritstam jnananisatmanah chitvainam samshayam yogam atishtottishta bharata. Atishtottishta bharata. Therefore, with the sword of knowledge, cut asunder the doubts that have arisen in your heart. O sign of Bharat, establish yourself in Karma Yoga. Arise, stand up, and take action. इसलिए हे भरतवंशी अर्जुन, हृदय में स्थित इस अज्ञान से उत्पन्न अपने संशय का ज्ञान रूप तलवार से काटकर करके योग में स्थित हो जा और युद्ध के लिए खड़ा हो जा.
Right? So what is he saying? That now that you know how to take that significant action, now that that knowledge is with you, that you need to take that significant action to move forward in life. Now that you know that, cut aside any of these doubts that can come in your heart. Remove those doubts. Get rid of those doubts. And this is a clarion call for action that he's giving us, saying that, look, remove those doubts and get on with that significant action that you need to do. Okay? Because if you take that significant action, then the karma that you're doing, which is the action that you're performing, is going to happen in a way that you are going to move forward on your Swadharma and you will achieve your Swadharma. So this is a clarion call that he gives us, saying that, look, remove it, all those doubts that are coming in your heart, and you will have many, many, many such doubts. Am I on the right path? Am I not on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? Why is it that I'm not getting the result that I want to get? Why is it that people are not cooperating with me? Why is it that people are not listening to me? They have a right not to listen to you. But that doesn't mean that whenever these doubts come, you get stuck into inaction. You need to figure out a way by saying that, look, I have this knowledge of significant action now. Let me remove all those doubts that are there in my mind. And let me figure out how I can move forward and get to what I need to be getting to, which is to work on my Swadharma. As I said earlier, sometimes you will get a result immediately. Sometimes the result will take a little time. That doesn't matter. But that doesn't mean that you get into this question of doubt or start blaming what has happened in the past and say that maybe there is something which is going wrong. Maybe there is something that I should do which is different right now. No, don't do that. Take that sword of knowledge that you have of this whole concept of significant action. Cut aside all those doubts that are there and then start working on it, because only when you do it will you be able to work and achieve what you want to achieve to make you happy. Remember, we have a birthright to be happy. We were born to be happy. That is our birthright. If you see a young child, okay, other than the fact that when the child is in discomfort, it's a very happy child, gurgling away, playing, very happy with itself. And that is the nature that we have been born with. You don't need to engage the child at all. You just leave the child alone. And the child is happy, smiling, gurgling away, happy, she's content. And she's just a bundle of joy. She really smiles at everybody. Okay, you put out your finger and she clutches that finger. That's a happy child. And that is what our nature is. That is what we were born with. That is what we were born to be. And somewhere we complicate life by layering it and layering it and layering it and layering it and layering it, and forget the fact that we need to take that significant action to move forward, and we are stuck in either inaction, reaction, or inefficient action. I did tell you about one more thing, which is how do you do significant action without any attachment, which is the highest, which is very difficult. Okay, significant action itself, mind you, is a slightly difficult concept. And now, to complicate it further, I'm taking you into significant action without any attachment. Is it actually possible to get into that kind of a situation? Let's hear what Krishna has to tell us. Sandeep, chapter 9, verse number 27, please. Lakshmi?
Yeah. Yat karoshi yadakshnashi yajjuhoshi tada dadasi yath yat pashyasi kaunteya tatkurushvamadarpanam.
Yes, yat
Whatever you
tapasyasi.
do,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yat tapasyasi, sorry. Yat
Yeah.
tapasyasi kaunteya tatkurushvamadarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer as oblation to the sacred fire, whatever you bestow as a gift, and whatever austerities you perform, O son of Kunti, do them as an offering to me. हे कौंतेय, तुम जो कुछ कर्म करते हो, जो कुछ खाते हो और जो कुछ हवन करते हो, जो कुछ दान देते हो और जो कुछ तप करते हो, वह सब तुम मुझे अर्पण करो.
Fantastic. Look at the beauty of this, right? And this is the whole point of significant action without attachment. Now, of course, this whole concept of whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you bestow as a gift, whatever austerities you perform, do it as an offering to me. Now, who is me? I personally believe the God is within you. And therefore, if you can bring out that inner strength of yours, that inner God goodness, or that inner God within you, and you say, look, let me do this for me. Whatever it is that I'm performing, can I do this for me? And then if you do it, you obviously break this whole situation of being attached to what is going to happen. And this is how you can do significant action without any attachment. Saying that, look, if I'm producing a particular product, I am producing it to the best quality. Why? Because I need to produce it to the best quality. Yes, there is a market. Yes, there is a customer. Yes, there is a quality. Yes, that all, but I'm doing it for myself, right? If I'm performing a service, and I'm coaching someone, or I'm helping someone get something done, or I'm running an educational institute, and I'm trying to figure out how to get those students to get better. I'm doing a digital marketing program. Whatever it is that I'm doing, can you say that, look, this output that I'm going to put out today is going to be, I'm going to do it as an offering to me. Why? Because that is my Swadharma. I need to do it in a way that I am truly, truly happy. Okay? If you go to a fine dining restaurant, forget fine dining restaurant, you go to even a darshini. You look at that chef who's making, dosa after dosa after dosa after dosa, and he's not burning a single one of them. He's a human being, right? He's entitled to burn one dosa. How can you, it's all right. Something will get a little burnt on the edge. It's perfectly all right. I mean, we do that when we cook at home, right? But the point is, why is he doing it? Is he eating it? No. But the point is that he does it because he says that, look, I am preparing this dosa, or I'm preparing this part, or I'm weaving this particular fabric, or whatever it is that I'm doing. Because it is for me, I am doing this in a way that this is a product that is going to make me happy. Now, if we can get into that kind of a frame of mind, and if you can get all your employees to get into that kind of frame of mind, then you're doing significant action without any attachment. So very quickly, to go back and repeat what we've been doing till now, okay, in this particular session, and then we'll open it up, we'll get into some questions, answers, we'll get into some reactions. What are we saying? Very clearly, don't worry about the situation that you find yourself in today. Don't blame the past on the principle of karma. Okay? The principle of karma is there. It has been researched. There is some proof of that. But what to do? We find ourselves in that particular situation. Now that you're there in that, what is it that we can do to either get out of the unhappy situation or move on? And why is this principle of karma there? Because there is a certain indestructibility of the soul. This is a certain belief that, look, the Atma that comes in and we become a Jivatma will keep transmigrating when we give up this particular body. So there is this aspect of the soul that keeps moving from one part to the other. But having done that, we need to banish the cobwebs of the mind that hold us back. Keep this in mind. Recognize the soul. Recognize this fact. But banish those cobwebs of the mind that hold you down and pull you down, saying that, maybe this is wrong. Maybe, fair enough. But banish those cobwebs of the mind and then move forward. Get into this whole concept of Nishkama Karma. Okay? I know there are some friends of mine from Roundtable who are watching this particular program. Now, they took up the task of building schools, especially in places like Surat and Bombay and all over the country. And we did this some 20, 25 years ago. But the point is, it is that kind of Nishkama Karma that we require. The entire polio effort that Rotary does, and we're going to do this again. I hope Rooks is here, my friend who's leading the polio drive in our district 3190 this year. Now, the whole point is to go out there and do this kind of a Nishkama Karma. karma without any attachment. And how do we do it? We do it by making sure that you get into action and inaction. The 5 kinds of action that we talked about, that if you can do, you know, you recognize that there is inaction, and there'll be some people like that in your life who will believe in inaction, who can't do anything about it. There will be some people who will, you will have to get them to react. Fair enough. There'll be some people who will do inefficient action. But you yourself try and move into significant action, and try and do that as significant action without any attachment. Okay? Because if you were to do this significant action without any attachment, that is the time when you get into being completely devoted to what you want to do. And that is when your Swadharma will dictate the kind of work that you're doing. And you will truly, truly be happy with what you do and what you get. With that, we'll close the talk today. But I'd love to hear from Sandeep and Lakshmi, and then maybe we'll open it up to the audience and get some reactions and some comments from all of them.
Yeah, that was another how shall I say, not mind blowing, mind opening session, Ram. It's funny you started off with how this perception of karma is the Western philosophy. Nowadays, of course, the perception is that it is karma, and karma sometimes they give it the meaning which is more like destiny or fate, rather than karma, which in the Hindu context is actually action. So there is this very clear distinction between what is an act. So if you look at it as destiny and fate, you say that, hey, there's no point in doing anything, which is actually the reverse is there. You're not supposed to figure out what's the point in doing it. You figure
Exactly.
out okay, I need to do it anyway. So you keep focused on that and get rid of that helplessness that okay, this is all preordained and I'm doomed irrespective. So I think that was one very good aspect. The other nice thing which I picked away from this is a lot of times we tell people to see the big picture. I remember reading this analogy that there was this person standing in front of a yellow brick, and all they could see in their sight of vision was a yellow brick. This whole big wall is there, and it's a yellow wall. And somebody said, just step back. It was just one yellow brick, and the whole wall was red. So it says that if you're not able to step back, you'll just keep looking at the yellow brick and thinking that the whole wall is yellow. So that's the other
Exactly.
thing. And the third good takeaway that I got is, you need to do things not because of what others are expecting of you or whatever. As you said, even the Bible says it. The kingdom of God is within thyself. So I think all the
Exactly.
religious scriptures, they have the same fundamental. But the thing is, you do it for yourself. You're answerable to yourself. The things that you do, the manner in which you do it, it has to have your, as we say in Indians, it has to have your chap, your stamp on it. So you do it in your own inimitable style, and like you always remember how Rajnikant wears those specs and all that, and we remember those things. So do things because not just because they others expect you to do it, but you do it because you think it's the right thing to do, and do it in your way. Yeah. So that was my great takeaways from today.
And in line with what you said, Sandeep, Ramji, the last sloka that you explained, I hope I got you right. You said, surrender whatever you have done, offer it to me. Rather, the God in you, the God self, in you. That's a very different way of looking at it. If what I heard is right, if that interpretation is right, which means you look like that Rajni in Yandran, like 100 arrows and everything hit, because you're bringing in everything there, like okay, why am I doing what I'm doing, right? And also connecting to the inner, the Godhead in me, or the God self in me, and everything, and offering it, which means I will definitely end up doing the right thing, because the offering that I'm doing is to myself. So it's like hitting everything. The crux of everything is what you said in the last shloka. So the offering is not to someone external. I have been until now thinking that, because in Chennai, I have my Guruma, she would always tell me the last 10 years, Lakshmi, anything that you do, you have to just believe that you're serving Her Highness, which means the Lord Devi. This is what she used to tell me. So I seriously have been thinking, okay, there is an external one God, and to whom I so offer this. But now the explanation or the interpretation you gave is fabulous. It's like hitting everything, significance of action with no
Yeah, but
attachment.
Lakshmi, just to do this, Her Highness is you.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah.
See what
No?
happens when this is given to somebody. You think there is a highness in front. I mean, there is something beyond you. There's something that you cannot perceive. But today, when you said offer it to you, my goodness, it made a tremendous insight. It was like 1 minute. What is he saying? This is how I felt. Oh, to yourself.
I yeah, you're right, Lakshmi, and Ram. I probably think that maybe our seers and philosophers are probably aware of the fact that it's very difficult to get people to focus on something which is really abstract and in the air. Like you focus on your soul, which is inside. So it's easier to say that okay, here's a god, or here's a prophet, or a goddess, or photograph, or a book, and you focus on this and you do it for this. So it becomes a relatively simpler, for most people to be able to focus on that rather than, say, close your eyes, meditate on your soul, So it's like, hey, your thoughts start wandering all over the place.
Like today morning when I started, every day before it starts, I'll go light the diya, just do a 1 minute prayer and pray. I was telling Krishna, listen, this is, I mean, I talk like this. I'm doing it for you, okay? This is what I said. I say this every day. I'm doing it for you. Listen.
No, but the Krishna is within you.
Yeah.
That's you.
Absolutely.
So when you're whatever doing, you're doing it for yourself. I mean, that's a great point.
Absolutely. And just
Lovely.
one more question. Yeah. What is the difference between detachment and non-attachment?
See, when you're talking of detachment, then obviously there is a certain attachment, and then you're moving away from there. Okay, that's a very conscious, let's say, a decoupling that if you can look at the old railway wagons that would be there, right? You decouple a railway wagon. So detachment is that. A non-attachment is to come from right from there, from the beginning itself, saying that look, I am doing this right now, and yes, there will be a outcome. Yes, there will be a response. Yes, there will be a reaction. Yes, there will be a result. There is no doubt about that. But I am not going to permit the purity of my action on the basis of what may happen, what may be the reaction, what may be the response, what may be the result that I will get. The purity of my action is for myself. Okay, I'm going to continue to do that, and that is non-attachment, Lakshmi. Okay, detachment is for me to consciously move away from that particular feeling of attachment, Lakshmi. Okay, I've got attached to that. I now need to consciously work on it and get detached. Okay, so going forward, for instance, we're all we're all human beings who need to survive. We need to thrive. We need to grow, right? So we need to do the artha, right? We need to have that karma that we require. I mean, you can't suddenly say, okay, I'm not going to do anything in life. I'm just going to retire. I'm going to chill out, and I'm going to do God, 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 and that's going to be like that. It won't work because you have to work. You have to earn money. There will be some desires that you have. You want to buy that Mercedes, please. I mean, otherwise Mercedes will leave India and go away. I mean, if everybody says no, 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 let's go back to the bullock cart, then what will happen to this country, right? So we will have to have that. Okay, there is no doubt about that. But is it possible for you to detach yourself from some of those past conditioning issues that have been haunting you
Right.
or holding you back? And is it possible to take that future action in such a way that you begin by being non-attached to the outcome that may happen? That's the whole point. Lakshmi?
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. We'll take the questions from the
Please.
people who are watching. Oh, just a second. Oh, there's one question from Vivek Prabhu.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Will you
Please.
pull it up? Is
This
a
one?
well-structured, yeah, this one.
Yeah, go
Is
ahead.
a well-structured business plan executed with proactive action is obviously significant action. Are you saying the outcome of the plan as envisaged should be taken without attachment, both if negative or positive? Meanwhile, the outcome of your significant action, it interspersed with bouts of inaction, reaction, and inefficient action from you and your team. The higher the instance of these type actions will directly affect the outcome. I think fabulous.
Absolutely, Vivek. I couldn't agree with you more, Vivek. Yes, it is obviously significant action, Vivek, no doubt about that. The point is that, whenever we do any kind of an action as per the plan, Vivek, there is bound to be either a negative or a positive. I wouldn't call it a negative. You will get a desired reaction or you will get a delayed reaction to what you want to do. There is no doubt about that, Vivek. But it doesn't mean to say that, because there is a delayed reaction, you go and hurriedly change the plan and stuff like that. That is bound to be there. And you're right, when you get into this whole issue of reaction, inaction, and inefficient action, I think as the head of the enterprise, you will need to sit down and find out why is this happening. And as I said, you can't help it. I personally believe that about 80 to 90% of your day is spent on reaction. There is no doubt about that. You can't get away from that, because there will be somebody who will be into an inaction mode or somebody who will be doing inefficient action, and therefore you will have to react to that particular situation to get things right. But the remaining 10 to 20% of the time that you have, if you can get it into significant action, I think if you and your team can do it, I think you would have cracked a interesting conundrum. Lakshmi?
Yeah. The next one, we would be taking Venkatesh Srinivasan's question.
Yeah.
Understanding one has moved or evolved from a point x to point x to the power of 5, but still has to face what has been created by him or her directly or indirectly when they were at point x. That's perfectly all right. The current position, x raised to the power 5, because of ego perhaps, will like to shun the old world completely, which is wrong. Aspiring for significant action without attachment takes care of this trap. Hope I'm on the right thought process.
Absolutely, Venkatesh. I think so. I keep telling people that what has been done cannot be undone, Venkatesh. Okay? We waste a lot of time trying to undo what has been done. Now, that has been done, right? Now, there's no point in trying to go and unravel it. I mean, when I was young, my grandmother used to, knit a sweater for all of us. And as young children, we would go and try and jumble up her wool. Okay. And much later, I realized that poor thing is wasting a lot of time trying to unravel all that jumbled wool. Okay. So that she can continue to knit the sweater for us. Okay. So what would take a day would actually take more than a day. I mean, what would take 2 days or 3 days or 4 days for that? What a waste of time. Okay. So the whole point is what is done cannot be undone, Venkatesh. That is a fact. So when you're saying that, look, point x to the power of 5, fair enough. Now let's just move forward from here. Yeah. Okay. And let's move in a way that you can do it in significant action without any attachment to what is the possible outcome or the result that will come. Only then will you be able to take that significant action in the right way and get it done. Lakshmi?
Yeah. The next one is from Balaji Manu.
Okay.
Knowledge is different in different people, and what's the best way to relearn?
Knowledge is?
Knowledge is different in different people, and what
Okay.
is the best way to relearn?
For you to relearn? Yeah, sure. I think the first thing, I mean, maybe in the last chapter, Balaji will be talking about this quite a lot. What are the attitudes that you need to learn, and what do you need to be? The first thing, Balaji, is to be humble, is to have humility as part of your, to have humility. And even though I'm going to jump the gun, first is to be fearless about the process of learning or relearning. Okay, that I am leaving something and I'm embracing something new, to be fearless about that. That look, I'm doing this very consciously. I'm not really letting go, and I'm not going to get into a situation saying, oh my God, I'm not, none of that. Just be fearless of what will happen. Go on, do it. And the second thing is to have that humility that, look, I am now open. I'm going to seek someone out and I'm going to go and learn from them, Balaji. Okay. So the best way to relearn is that to be fearless in this path and to have the humility to go and meet someone and learn from them.
Right.
Lakshmi?
Um, yes, I think before we go to other questions that may come in, I have just one. Just now we, read a question about somebody moving from x to x raised to the power 5. I
Yeah.
have one question here. There are people whom I know, last 15, 20 years, they have been stagnant 25 years because of the conditioning, childhood conditioning, where they used to hearing your horoscope, your this thing like that, karma, Purva Janma, Papa is so much in your thing, aisa hi rahega. But now, after seeing this question, I'm asking somebody say from X, they are their X raised to the power of -5 in life now. With this knowledge, with what you said, how do they rise up from here? The reasoning
So
is just past conditionings.
yeah,
So,
see the point is very simple, no, Lakshmi. You answered the question yourself. The point is that yes, I am here where I am. Okay. I think the refusal to accept where I am at this point of time is causing more trouble than the fact that somebody has told you that your papa or your past life or whatever it is, this is why you're here or that is why you're there or whatever it is, right? It is that is holding you back. Okay. If there is some analysis that's been done by a learned gentleman or a lady who has told you that this is where you are, and mind you, if some of you guys are interested, you must read up people like Professor Raj Vedam, who's done some amazing work in this area of trying to figure out what is the science behind astrology and how things work there. Or if you have the time, if you can even look up another very interesting source called Bhishma Index, where they have some very interesting professors who talk about all of this. So there is a certain science to that. I'm not going to rubbish this away saying that all of that is rubbish. No, there is a certain science, there is a certain logic to that. Now that you're aware of that, don't get depressed. Don't believe that, my God, the world is going to come to an end because of this. The first thing, as I think my friend Venkatesh pointed out, is that you've got a point X. Very clear. Fabulous. Now that you're armed with that knowledge, now take that sword of knowledge and cut out the fear from your heart, as Krishna explains in the last slide that we showed, and says, look, move on, get on with it now. Okay. Now that you know where you are, now do something about it. Okay. What is it that you need to do? Do you need to do a course correction in your life? Do you need to have a career change? Do you need to acquire a new skill? Do you need to acquire a new kind of life? Do you need to move to a new market? Do you need to come up with a new offering? The world is yours, yeah. Okay. All these answers are possible, no? Now, fantastic. At least you're lucky that somebody has defined to you a point X. And now you can go and create that X to the power of 5. Rather than taking this knowledge, and like we talked about, the fact that like the fire is covered by smoke, or the mirror is covered by dust, moving actually back, regressing, saying, oh my God, I mean, now, so therefore I know that I'm completely gone. I'm finished because of this knowledge that I have, and moving into X minus 5, which is very wrong. Okay. And that's the point that I'd like to, I love what Venkatesh has said. Fantastic.
yes.
Yeah, Ram, it connects with what we said in the earlier session. We spoke about how we try to, judge others and, stereotype people and, slot them in a particular thing and moving out of the comfort zone. I think this session is more about, don't try to stereotype yourself, forget
Exactly.
about just trying to stereotype others. You probably don't need to stereotype yourself also. You may have been born with whatever situation or condition or whatever it is, but it all depends on what you do from here on.
Absolutely, Sandeep. Fabulous.
Yeah,
Any
okay. So,
questions on
there are not
LinkedIn?
any specific questions, but I think there are a lot of people who have put in their comments, and let's maybe it's a good idea to just
Yes, Balaji,
bash them.
absolutely. Habits are difficult to change, but how do we do it? One habit
Yeah,
at a time, one step at a time, Balaji. Just one step at a time. Believe me,
yeah.
just one step at a time. There is no silver bullet as far as these habits are concerned, Balaji. It's a time consuming process. Okay. Don't blame yourself, or not you. I mean, when I'm saying you, I'm not talking about you, Balaji, but I'm saying generally. Don't get into this blame game or hurt yourself saying, "Why am I doing all of this?" Recognize that's a great point X that I need to change, and then keep moving from there. Keep moving up from there and getting there. Kavita Chitalia, honoring the God within. Thank you very much. Absolutely, Kavita. And this is something that I personally have a lot of faith in, that there is a God within you. There is a God within me. There is a God within Lakshmi. There is a God within Sandeep. And if there is some way that we can actually respect this particular God, starts with me. I need to respect the God within me. And then I need to respect the God within you, Kavita, and the God within Lakshmi, and the God within Sandeep. And believe me, the whole world is a great world. Okay? Just imagine if you're running an enterprise. Okay? Just imagine if each of us in that company, in that enterprise, in that organization, whatever kind of an organization that is, start with this assumption that you are a you can person, and let's work towards so that we can all become we can. Lovely. A lot of cobwebs of my mind need to be released and focus on karma. Thank you so much. Lovely. Where is my friend Reshma today? Nothing?
Yeah, I think there is.
Yeah? What is this? Reminding ourselves we are doing it to ourselves keeps us grounded. We also enjoy the. Absolutely, Amna. Absolutely, Amna. Fantastic. Great comment. Great thought. Great thought.
Yes, Reshma.
Reshma, chapter 9, verse 27, with what you've explained, doesn't our friend ego enter within ourselves? Oh, yeah, sure. It does. And you remember that is the Reshma, if you recall, I think we did this in the first chapter, the six, what the Bhagavatam calls the six gateways to hell. Okay, and this ego is absolutely one of those guys that we've got to be very, very, very careful about. Reshma, if you're interested, there is a very interesting treatise called the Chandipat, and you must try and read the Chandipat, Reshma, if you have the time. I'll send you. I'll try and send you the cover of that book on that particular book. It's very interesting. This particular interpretation of all the asuras that the Devi vanquishes, this author has given each of them a name. He calls it self-depreciation, self-conceit, the great ego. He calls Mahishasura, for instance, the great ego. Chanda and Munda, from the Chamundi temple, he calls them passion and anger. Okay, so it's very, very interesting, that particular interpretation, that these are demons of our own mind. These are not external demons that we are talking about, but these are demons that are sitting in our mind. And you need to kill those demons. You need to vanquish them. You need to conquer them to move forward. So, super. I think, Lakshmi, I think we're at the end.
Yes. Just have a point to make. When you said Chandipat, and the demons, I remember once again my Guruma saying, she said, all these virus, she was actually connecting all this, Durga Saptashi, everything to this. She says, it's the Rakta Bija, the virus, the
Yeah.
one, he keeps replicating. So she was explaining this, how this is connected to what is written there. She said, this is simple, it's Rakta Bija, and you should know how to, humanity should know how to handle this.
Yeah.
It's
So
fantastic.
this author, Lakshmi, I'll share that book with you. This
Yeah,
author calls Rakta Bija,
yeah,
the
who's the
seeds
author?
of desire.
Okay.
Fantastic. Right. Shall we conclude, Sandeep?
Yes, I think so. I think that's it. And so, Lakshmi, you can make the announcement for tomorrow's topic.
Yeah. Just a sec. And tomorrow it's going to be Swadharma and the changing roles in life. And it's a wonderful, wonderful topic because very, very connected to the previous four topics is what I feel. So please stay tuned. And tomorrow, Swadharma and the changing roles in life. Come up with questions. Come up maybe before this topic. If you could do a little bit of introspection into the different hats that you've worn in life, I think it will make it even more relevant.
Absolutely. So the whole point of tomorrow's session, Lakshmi, is that as you keep growing, as you keep evolving, there are different stations in life that you're a student, and then you you graduate, and then you start working, and then you get married, and then you become a father, then you become a grandfather and grandmother, and so how does the whole interplay of what you're doing in life change? Likewise, there's another role that you have. You could be born in a particular community, or you could be born in a particular caste, or how do you then work that out? I mean, is there anything that we need to learn from the Bhagavad Gita on that? Okay. So it's good. So it's an interesting situation. So we're going to have a lot of fun. One more thing that I'd like to mention is that some of you were mentioning to us that can we actually have a Zoom interaction? So what we would like to do on Saturday, which is the last day, fortunately for all of us in Bangalore, Saturday is a lockdown. There is a curfew. So we have all the time in the world. We don't have to rush to the office like all of us have to right now. So this Saturday, after we finish the broadcast, and Saturday we've got a very interesting session on attitudes that enable and attitudes that hold you back. Okay. So after we finish this session, the broadcast part, at 9 o'clock, we'll switch over to a Zoom interaction. So any of you who'd like to do a live interaction on Zoom, there is something that we will enable that to happen, right?
Yeah, and we will share the Zoom link here as
On
well as
the-
in
on
the
the Facebook.
WhatsApp, on the Facebook page also, on the stream also, in the WhatsApp group also. So we'll switch over from here, go get into the Zoom call, and and then we can all be there. And what we'll also do is for those of you who probably don't get into log into Zoom, we'll stream the Zoom session on Facebook too. So so you can watch in case you don't want to just interact, but you want to enjoy the interaction of the others. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So let's close. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just end the broadcast. Everyone just stay where you are, and we'll all see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you.